Welcome back to KBRC Dialogues. I am Parvesh and with me I have Bala.
Bala.
So Bala, just this is my first question. What are you reading right now?
It's a book on Greek myth, gods in contemporary literature. Yeah.
Like in the sense, does it go into psychological things or just?
No, it's just a book about, it's non-fiction. It's a book about Greek myths in as depicted in contemporary art and literature. Mostly art, but also literature.
Nice. So today, we are on Dostoevsky, and I'm a big Dostoevsky. Not a fan, but I like him more than his literature. And we're going to talk about him. But first, let us go into where we started with Dostoevsky. For me, I started in plus 2. So basically, I read the children's magazine. And suddenly I got access to my plus 2 level. Thank you. Continue. I mean, other editor. Okay, so എൻ്റെ ദോസ്തസ്കി ജേർണി തുടങ്ങിയത് പ്ലസ് ടുവിൽ വെച്ചിട്ടാണ്. സോ അതിനു മുമ്പ് ഞാൻ വായിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരുന്നത് നമ്മുടെ ബേസിക് ചിൽഡ്രൻസ് മാഗസിൻ. അതിൽ നമ്മുടെ ബാലരമ ബാലഭൂമിയിൽ അതിനകത്ത് ക്ലാസിക്സ് ഒക്കെ വരുമായിരുന്നു. സോ അങ്ങനെ വന്നതിൽ വെച്ചിട്ട് ഏറ്റവും ആദ്യം ഞാൻ വായിച്ചത് അത് ദോസ്തസ്കി അല്ലാന്ന്, ഇറ്റ്സ് മോബി ഡിക്.
Yeah. Mine was Treasure Island.
Treasure Island?
Yeah.
You know, there was one special just for Don Quixote. ഒരു സ്പെഷ്യൽ ബുക്ക്. അതിൻ്റെ ഐ തിങ്ക് 400 years of Don Quixote. അങ്ങനത്തെ സ്പെഷ്യൽ എഡിഷൻ ഇറക്കിയതാണ്. ഓക്കെ, അപ്പാർട്ട് ഫ്രം ദാറ്റ് അത് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ടാണ് പിന്നെ എനിക്ക് സ്കൂൾ ലൈബ്രറിയിൽ ആക്സസ് ചെയ്തത്. ആൻഡ് അവിടെ നിന്നാണ് ഞാൻ കുറ്റവും ശിക്ഷയും വായിച്ചത്. ഇറ്റ്സ് ലൈക്ക് മലയാളം അബ്രിഡ്ജ് വേർഷൻ ഓഫ് ക്രൈം ആൻഡ് പണിഷ്മെൻറ്റ്. ആൻഡ് ആഫ്റ്റർ ദാറ്റ് ഐ വാസ് ഹുക്ക്ഡ് ഓൺ ടു Dostoevsky. What about you, Bala?
Me, personally, I came across Dostoevsky very late in life. I would say I was in college, about to finish college, 2018. At the time, the first book I picked up was Notes from the Underground because it was highly critically acclaimed and it's hailed as one of the great works of human psychology from Russian literature. So that's the reason why I chose to pick that up. And also partly because it was a novella. All the other greater works of Dostoevsky like Brothers Karamazov or Idiots, they were all very big books. And at the time I was not in a position where I could commit to a very big book. So okay.
Ask him. Are you saying about the Notes from Underground?
Yeah. My Dostoevsky journey, I would say it started with Notes from the Underground in 2018. I was doing my internship, house agency, and at the time, time was a very precious commodity for me back then, so I just stuck to easier reads. And at the time, I was starting to explore world literature in general.
Easier reads, and you selected Notes from Underground?
No, not just easier reads. I specifically chose reads that were short reads. So at the time I wanted a quick introduction to Dostoevsky, and out of his shorter works, the Notes from the Underground came highly recommended. So that is the reason I started with that. And of his bigger works, I've read only Brothers and Karamazov.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a bit of a journey for me. Yes, took me around 6 months to finish it. Partly because I still believe this to this day. I believe that my journey with Brothers Karamazov took so long, partly because it was a very bad translation that I wrote. I chose the cheapest book available, Penguin Classics. Yeah, it was a translation by Constantine Garnett, and it was not that great. And there are two different schools of thought. Dostoevsky is not primarily known for his prose, the quality of his prose, but it's more about the content or the substance that he talks about. But I still believe a different translation by maybe Volonovsky maybe. So
that's the one vintage edition? I mean, vintage publication?
Yeah, it's a little costlier though.
Yeah.
So with Constantine Garnett, you normally get this complaint that they've put in their own additions to the story as in addition to that. And also I believe that Russian, while it is closely related, but it's not something that translates smoothly into English. So there could be that. But either way, the prose was a little bit of a hassle for me. But then again, you don't read Dostoevsky for the prose, do you?
Yeah.
So
സ്കൂളിൽ എനിക്ക് ആദ്യം കിട്ടിയത് കുറ്റവും ശിക്ഷയും. ആഫ്റ്റർ ദാറ്റ് ഐ റെഡ് വാർ ആൻഡ് പീസ് ലൈക്ക് ടോൾസ്റ്റോയ്.
you read that.
Like abridged version, Malayalam. Everything was abridged version in the school library. അത് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് then I read Ivan Ilyich, but I don't remember the exact plot. But I remember that I picked up that book. And then I picked up the Brothers Karamazov. Again, it's a abridged version. അത് മലയാളത്തിലായിരുന്നു. അന്നിനെ വായിച്ചു. I felt like it was a family drama at that time. But right now I understand it's full of philosophy and religious thoughts and everything. It's the amalgamation of all the Dostoevsky's ideas, philosophy put together. You can say it's the masterpiece of Dostoevsky. Or you can say it's the unfinished masterpiece of Dostoevsky. Because when we talk about Dostoevsky now, people only remember Crime and Punishment. അത് മാത്രമേ ആൾക്കാർക്ക് അറിയാവുള്ളൂ. ബട്ട് very few people must have heard about the Brothers Karamazov. Because first of all, ഒരു സാധനം ക്ലിയർ ചെയ്യാം. പണ്ട് ഡോസ്റ്റോവ്സ്കി ആയാലും മറ്റ് റഷ്യൻ ക്ലാസിക്സ് ലിറ്ററേച്ചർ ആയാലും എല്ലാം ഇറങ്ങിയത് സീരിയലൈസ് ഫോർമാറ്റാണ്. They mostly wrote for the local literary magazine. It's called Russian Herald. I don't remember. So
it was published as volumes.
As an installment. So അവർക്ക് പ്രശ്നം എന്താണെന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ he has ideas and he makes intensely കുറേ ഡ്രാഫ്റ്റ്സ് ഒക്കെ ഉണ്ടാക്കും with so many information. And let me talk about The Idiot first of all. പുള്ളിയുടെ ബുക്ക് ഉണ്ട് The Idiot, and he wanted to say so many things through that book, but because of that limitation of writing for the magazines, he was unable to put together his thoughts. അത് ഇറങ്ങി കഴിഞ്ഞപ്പോൾ പുള്ളി പറഞ്ഞു, ഞാൻ വിചാരിച്ചതിൻ്റെ 10% എനിക്കിതിൽ പറയാൻ പറ്റിയത്. ആൻഡ് അതുമല്ല, ദർ ആർ ലിമിറ്റേഷൻ ഇൻ ദ സെൻസ് ഓരോ ഇൻസ്റ്റാൾമെൻറ്റ് വരുമ്പോൾ ഫസ്റ്റ് ഓഫ് ഓൾ അതിൻ്റെ സമയപരിധി ഉണ്ട്. ദർ ഇസ് ടാർഗറ്റ് ഈ സമയത്ത് യു ഷുഡ് ഗിവ് ഡ്രാഫ്റ്റ്സ് ടു ദം. സോ unnecessary it feels some kind of verbose for these days. Maybe because of attention span, I don't know.
No, that's actually one of the main criticisms that newer readers to Dostoevsky usually voice. There's a lot of words out here. There's a lot of words and there's a lot of dialogue, and most of the events unfold in the form of dialogue between two people. It's a recurring theme in a lot of these books, and I believe it's a purposeful tool introduced by Dostoevsky to get these ideas across, right? And most of these dialogues happen over topics of monumental significance. For example, if you're taking Brothers Karamazov, for example, there's a scene of the Inquisitor, the Grand Inquisitor scene, the famous Grand Inquisitors, or the discourse between Alyosha and Father Zosima. So none of these topics are dealing with everyday matters, right? The Alyosha and Father Zosima, they talk about the separation of church and state. And the Inquisitor is obviously existential dread, Ivan's journey. It's a lot of things happen in the form of these dialogues. And this puts off a lot of people. And also I have heard that some people, I don't know how this holds true for his rest of his works. For the two works that I have read, one, Notes from the Underground, does not really involve a heavy a more dominant female character, and Brothers Karamazov, personally I found the female characters to be okay written. It's not the best characterization, I've had better obviously, but it's certainly not the worst. It's one of those criticisms that I've heard, that his female characters are very flat and very shallow, and so yeah, that's that. Parvez, what do you feel about Dostoevsky's writing being symbolic of religion? Personally, I felt that he is this Christian apologist. He's an ideologist. He believes in Christian dogma. He believes in religion, and he criticizes atheism and a lack of belief in God, a lack of faith. He decries it because recurring themes occur again, and Ivan goes mad at the end of it. And I believe he's symbolically trying to say this is the ultimate fate that atheism offers to man. He has no shield against the terrors of this world. Something like that. What do you feel about that?
I may digress a little because, first of all, when you read Dostoevsky, you have to understand at what time and at what environment he was writing. പുള്ളി എഴുതിയ സമയത്ത് റഷ്യ വാസ് ഗോയിങ് ത്രൂ വെരി ടർബുലൻറ്റ് ടൈംസ്. ഫോർ എക്സാമ്പിൾ, ലൈക്ക് ഇനിഷ്യൽ 1880s പുള്ളി എഴുതാൻ തുടങ്ങിയത്. ലൈക്ക് 1821 ഐ തിങ്ക് ഹി
Definitely after 18. Crimean War ഒക്കെ കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട്.
Yeah, so like I was saying, Russia was going through very turbulent times. So ആ സമയത്ത് ഉണ്ടായ Western ideas like atheism, rationality, he was against that. And അതിൻ്റെ വോയിസ് കൊടുക്കാൻ വേണ്ടിയാണ് he mainly written all these books to get his ideas through the character. ഇപ്പോൾ നിങ്ങൾ പറഞ്ഞ പോലെ ക്രൈം ആൻഡ് പണിഷ്മെൻറ്റിൽ നിറച്ചും ഡയലോഗ്സ് ആണ്. ഇഫ് യു watch the theatre version in YouTube, you can understand. തുടങ്ങുന്നത് ഒരു സ്ട്രീം ഓഫ് കോൺഷ്യസ് ആണെങ്കിലും മോസ്റ്റ് ഓഫ് ദ ബുക്ക് ഈസ് ജസ്റ്റ് കോൺവെർസേഷൻ ബിറ്റ്വീൻ ടു ക്യാരക്ടേഴ്സ്, നോട്ട് ദ ക്യാരക്ടേഴ്സ് ഹാവിങ് ദ സെയിം തോട്ട്, ഓപ്പോസിറ്റ് തോട്ട്. ഇപ്പോൾ ഒരാൾ പ്രോ റിലീജിയൻ ആണെങ്കിൽ മറ്റേ ആൾ അഗെയിൻസ്റ്റ് റിലീജിയൻ. ലൈക്ക് ഐ എം ജസ്റ്റ് ഗിവ് എൻ എക്സാമ്പിൾ. ഡിബേറ്റ്, yeah, it's a debate. So and that's the fun of it. And but മിക്ക ആൾക്കാർക്ക് അത് ഇഷ്ടപ്പെടില്ല. ബട്ട് ദാറ്റ്സ് ദ തിങ്, യു ഹാവ് ടു അണ്ടർസ്റ്റാൻഡ് വാട്ട്സ് ദ കോണ്ടെക്സ്റ്റ്. അത് റഷ്യൻ ഹിസ്റ്ററി കുറച്ച് മനസ്സിലാക്കുമ്പോൾ ആൻഡ് ദോസ്റ്റോവ്സ്കിയുടെ ശരിക്കുള്ള ജീവിതം കൂടി മനസ്സിലാക്കുമ്പോഴാണ് നമുക്ക് മനസ്സിലാവുന്നത് വാട്ട് ഈസ് റൈറ്റിംഗ് ഫോർ ആൻഡ് വാട്ട്സ് ഇൻ ദ ടെക്സ്റ്റ്. ഇപ്പോൾ ഇഡിയറ്റ് എടുക്കുവാണെങ്കിൽ തന്നെ ഒരു കോണ്ടെക്സ്റ്റ് എടുക്കാം. Dostoevsky was involved in a radical, I think, Petrevsky circle. It's a very close circle of radical writers who used to discuss banned books at that time. And at one time he got arrested, and some people got arrested.
There is a little bit of a controversy regarding that. It is alleged that the circle of rebels, the underground resistance movement, I believe they were primarily oriented towards breakdown of the monarchy after what happened in France in 1789. I believe these people were also wanted utopia, and they were more in favor of socialism, while Dostoevsky was in fact pro-religion.
But not that fiercely at that time.
Yeah.
At that time he was not that fiercely against atheism and all that. But when he got arrested, he was put through mock execution. ലൈക്ക് 3 ആൾക്കാരുണ്ടായിരുന്നു ആ ഗ്രൂപ്പിൽ. അവരെ എക്സിക്യൂഷനിൽ കൊണ്ടുപോയി. ആൻഡ് ദ ലാസ്റ്റ് മൊമെന്റ് ദേ വർ എക്സ്കമ്മ്യൂണിക്കേറ്റഡ്. വാട്ട് വാസ് ദ ടേം? ലൈക്ക് അവരെ ലൈക്ക് വെറുതെ ഇട്ടിട്ട് പാടുണ്ട്. യാ. ആൻഡ് ദെൻ ഹി വാസ് എക്സൈൽഡ് ഇൻ Siberia for how many years? I don't know, 4 years. And after that 6 years of mandatory military work, that kind of thing. ടോട്ടൽ ഒരു 10 വർഷത്തിൻ്റെ എക്സൈൽ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. പക്ഷേ ഈ സൈബീരിയ പോയപ്പോൾ ആ ജയിലിലുണ്ടായിരുന്ന ലൈക്ക് അവിടെ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്ന പെസൻസിനെ പുള്ളി ശ്രദ്ധിക്കാൻ തുടങ്ങി. അവിടെ പെസൻസ് ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു, അവിടെ ഇൻ്റലക്ച്വൽസ് ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. ബട്ട് ദ ഡിഫറൻസ് ബിറ്റ്വീൻ ദാറ്റ്, പെസൻസ് ലൈക്ക് കുറ്റം ചെയ്ത ആൾക്കാർ അവർ അംഗീകരിച്ച് അവരുടെ കുറ്റങ്ങളൊക്കെ. ദേ നോ ദാറ്റ് ദേ ഹാവ് ഡൺ സംതിങ് റോങ് ആൻഡ് ദേ ആർ വെരി ഒത്തൻറ്റിക് as for Dostoevsky. But the intellectuals like, no, I have done nothing, it's all about the state, it's all about this and that and that. And അവിടെ പുള്ളി ബൈബിളും കൊണ്ടുപോയായിരുന്നു, അവിടെ ബൈബിളും വായിച്ചു. സോ ഓൾ ദീസ് പുള്ളിനെ അഫക്റ്റ് ചെയ്തു. ആൻഡ് വെൻ ഹി കെയിം ബാക്ക്, ഹി വാണ്ടഡ് ടു ജസ്റ്റ് പുട്ട് ദീസ് തോട്ട്സ് ആൻഡ് ഐഡിയാസ് ആൻഡ് ഫിലോസഫി ത്രൂ ഹിസ് ബുക്സ്. അതുകൊണ്ട് ഞാൻ ഇഡിയറ്റിലും ഇത് പറയുന്നുണ്ട്, മോക്ക് എക്സിക്യൂഷൻ. നമ്മുടെ ലെവ്, what's his name? The protagonist. ഇതിനകത്ത് that's the crime and punishment. His name is Lev. So he discusses this mock execution with another character. He says that what's worse, being murdered or being condemned to death? He says that a very worst fate that anyone can have is condemned to death. Absolutely. Because if someone murders you, there is a choice for you to escape. Or at least it happens suddenly, like you are not aware of. But ഒരു സ്റ്റേറ്റ് നമ്മൾ കണ്ടം ചെയ്യുകയാണെങ്കിൽ ഇറ്റ്സ് ഗ്യാരണ്ടീഡ്. ആൻഡ് വി ഓൾസോ നോ ദ ഡേറ്റ് ആൻഡ് ടൈം ആൻഡ് എവറിഥിങ്. It's a waiting. Yeah, it's worse than,
you know, the fate is inevitable.
Yeah,
but you have time.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. This thing he discusses in his ഇഡിയറ്റ്. ആൻഡ് അതല്ലാതെ തന്നെ പ്രൊട്ടാഗണിസ്റ്റിന് എപ്പിലെപ്സി ഉണ്ട് ആ ബുക്കിൽ. ദസ്തോവ്സ്കി ഹാസ് എപ്പിലെപ്സി.
Epilepsy happens in almost all of his books. In Brothers Karamazov, the villain, the Smerdyakov, he too fakes a seizure, and then he has a real seizure. So Dostoevsky himself suffered from these epileptic attacks. And it is said that they were psychogenic, but it is also discredited by another faction.
സോ അതല്ലാതെ തന്നെ
He
ഇഡിയറ്റ്
battled his own personal demons, to be honest. He battled alcoholism, he battled gambling,
gambling, that's why he wrote gambling.
the fear of death, obviously, and in that circle of people who were taken for death by the firing squad, made to lean down and kneel, and with bags over their heads, about to be shot, their last rites administered, and then pardoned.
I think that was a planned mock execution.
It was this build up, this fear was part of the torture. It was planned, and out of this group, one person went insane. He stayed insane for the rest of his natural life, and the other manifested a different kind of insanity. That was Dostoevsky.
Hey, that's a very good point. And Dostoevsky, and what I read Crime and Punishment. I am yet to read Notes from Underground and The White Notes.
You should read Notes of the
Yeah, I
Underground,
think I
because it's
should,
a very good work on the thought process of a neurotic. Dostoevsky, I firmly believe Dostoevsky himself was a neurotic person, because this is yet again another recurring character in Brothers Karamazov, because the oldest brother, Dmitri, he is extremely neurotic. He is anxious, he is restless, and he has no filter between brain and his mouth. That's the kind of person he is. And but at the same time, he is innocent. And the third, and this is actually religious symbolism, to be honest. And Alyosha, the youngest brother, he is the stand-in or the proxy for Christ and his trials and tribulations. While Smerdyakov, I believe, he is portrayed as the flawed character who is the devil, right? So Smerdyakov is the one who actually commits the murder, or at least it is how it appeared to me. Obviously, the end is a little bit ambiguous, and Alyosha does not really have any proof that his older brother Dmitri is innocent, and despite that, he advocates for them. And it's one of the quotes from that book is that he loved the entirety of humanity, but hated them individually. It's something profound, to be honest. It's
You're talking about Brothers Karamazov,
yeah.
and even though Smerdyakov and Kolonov, no spoiler, I don't know. But he kills because of Ivan. He tells him that there is no
God is dead.
God is dead, so there is no ground for morality.
No need for morality.
No need for morality.
Exactly. And that is what shakes Ivan to the core.
Yeah.
He visits him 3 times. His mental health suffers with each visit. And finally, he has a complete breakdown at the end. And actually, this Dostoevsky's father was a military doctor. So he, with a new edict or a reform carried out by the erstwhile Tsar, he was elevated to the rank of a nobleman. And at the time, Russia had the serf system. And the serf system, according to Dostoevsky, was outdated, and it was something that was leading Russia into ruin while the rest of Europe grew. And this had to change according to him. He was opposed to that, but at the same time, he did not want to divorce himself from the Russian Orthodox Church. And allegedly, there are rumors that his father was murdered by his own servants.
Yes.
And this theme of patricide.
That's also not confirmed.
It's not confirmed. Yeah, again. But if it were true, it would completely make sense why Brothers Karamazov involves this theme of patricide.
And coming to the female character, if you see the Crime and Punishment and Brother Karamazov, they come across the സേവിയേഴ്സ് പോലെയാണ് അവർക്ക് തോന്നുന്നത്. ലൈക്ക് മഡോണ ഫിഗേഴ്സ് പോലെ. ഇപ്പോൾ ക്രൈം ആൻഡ് പണിഷ്മെന്റ് എടുക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ തന്നെ ഇനിഷ്യലി റസ്കോൾനിക്കോവ് വാസ് ലൈക്ക് he doesn't want to go to the police to surrender, but it's just because of what's her name, Alyosha, the same അങ്ങനത്തെ ഒരു പേരാണ്. She tells him about the Bible and like ഒരു വേഴ്സ് ഒക്കെ പറയുന്നുണ്ട് അതിനകത്ത് in that book that convinces him to surrender. അതുപോലെ ബ്രദേഴ്സ് കരമസോവിൽ അങ്ങനെയാണ്. സോ ദോസ്റ്റോവ്സ്കി എടുക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ വുമൺ ക്യാരക്ടേഴ്സ് ആർ മോർ ലൈക്ക് സേവിയേഴ്സ്,
Virgin Mary influence.
Yes, that's the thing.
Like I said, his works are littered with religious symbols.
Religious symbolism.
Lot of it.
Idiot തന്നെയാണെങ്കിൽ the idiot, നമ്മുടെ protagonist, he was picturized as a holy fool, like Jesus. If you like ഇപ്പോഴത്തെ context എടുക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ, some people might say that Jesus is a holy fool because he was very naive to the real world. It's all about love your neighbor, those kind of thing. But in today's world where everyone is just pouncing on your shoulder, it's not going to work in the real world. So you can say he's a holy fool. So അത് ഇമിറ്റേറ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടിയാണ് പുള്ളി നോക്കിയത് ദോസ്തോവ്സ്കി in the idiot. But he still says that only 1% of his thoughts actually came through the book. So you can understand. And one more thing, Brothers Karamazov was supposed to be 2 books, and
What do you know that?
yeah, it was supposed to be 2 books, biology, and this was supposed to be a prequel to the actual book.
Oh,
This is actually prequel.
shit.
It was setting up the Aloysia character,
Oh, nice.
and I'm not going to tell you what's the fate he decided for Aloysia. Yeah, it's not, you're not gonna expect. Just go and Google it. You will just it's very fascinating. The actual Brother Karamazov is for Aloysia, not the brothers. It's just a prequel.
I firmly believe the brothers are there to provide a kind of contrast with that struggles of Alyosha.
Yeah,
Specifically, Ivan, who's an atheist,
yeah,
and Dmitri is a neurotic,
yeah,
steeped in the worldly affairs. But Alyosha is the one who has renounced all worldly pleasures. He is desperately trying to follow Christ's teachings, right?
Yeah.
To love your neighbor as you love thyself. That's a very tall order, to be honest, if you ask me. But പാടാണ് പറയാൻ എളുപ്പമാണ്, പക്ഷെ ഭയങ്കര പാടാണ് പ്രാവർത്തികമാക്കാൻ. പക്ഷെ അത് അതിനെ അലിയോഷ സ്ട്രഗിൾ ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്. ഹി ഈസ് കോപ്പിംഗ് വിത്ത് ദ ഡെത്ത് ഓഫ് ഹിസ് മെന്റർ ഫിഗർ. ഹി ഈസ് കോപ്പിംഗ് വിത്ത് ദ ഡെത്ത് ഓഫ് someone who depended on him and who idolized him as a saint. He is going through all of that.
Yeah.
He is at the same time he is also advocating for his brother who is falsely accused. But here's the thing though, I believe Dostoevsky believed that the ecclesiastical court or the actual church and the physical law and order system should be separate.
yeah,
Because one does not have a bearing on the other. Because Alyosha, despite being a saint, the book ends with a plan to break the accused out of prison, right? So, despite him being a man of God, Alyosha does not have an opposition for this. He does not breathe a word about it. He just keeps quiet, basically. So, I really don't understand how that works. But if you look at the conversation between Alyosha and Father Zosima, the older priest who dies in the beginning of the book, and he believes that we do not need to punish a criminal in this world of ours, because his punishment is already ordained and determined by God in the court above. That's what this father says. Again, you can understand how this is going to be a bit of an explosive thought in a monarchy, right?
yeah.
No wonder the Tsar got him arrested.
So this is the best thing now. Dostoevsky വായിക്കണമെങ്കിൽ you cannot keep the Russian history or Russian culture separate.
You can't.
അങ്ങനെ separate.
Also, you cannot keep contemporary Russian literature separate.
Yeah.
Dostoevsky was heavily influenced by
Heavily,
Nikolai Gogol. A lot of people actually.
Yeah.
But the only person I have actually read is Gogol. Nikolai Gogol's Overcoat. If you read Overcoat first and then you read Poor Folk.
Oh.
I've heard it said that Poor Folk is heavily inspired from Gogol's Underground. Not the Underground, the
Overcoat.
Yeah. Again, it's the story of a working class man, someone doing a clerical level job. And unlike Gogol's character is not self-conscious. He suffers, but he does not question the meaning of his suffering. He does not ask the real deep questions, right? He doesn't do that. But I've heard it said that Poor Folk takes it in a different direction. He takes a different approach to the same situation.
Because it's very interesting. Poor Folk is before his execution, I think. It's one of his earlier works. So if you want to understand the difference between Dostoevsky's psyche, you should try both of this. Poor Folk and Not So Underground. Nalla combination ആയിരിക്കും. And apart from Dostoevsky, even Tolstoy, funny thing, Tolstoy, Dostoevsky and Turgenev, they all existed at the same time. And one more funny thing, even though Dostoevsky and Tolstoy were at the same, you might say, city, but they never met. Yeah, they both.
I've heard it said that when Tolstoy died, Brothers Karamazov was on his bedstand.
Yeah, that's what I'm coming to. Like, രണ്ടുപേരുടെ വർക്ക് ഭയങ്കര admire ഇഷ്ടമായിരുന്നു. But they never met. Dostoevsky came from very poor family, and Tolstoy was a count, and he was also very tall as compared to Dostoevsky. Dostoevsky, I think, is very 5'7", 5'9", and Dostoevsky was 6.2 something.
Okay.
And
He was a Chad, huh?
and
No wonder Paul Tolstoy.
Turgenev ആണെങ്കിൽ അവരെക്കാളും I think taller ആണ്.
Turgenev had a big rivalry with Dostoevsky.
അല്ലാണ്ടിരിക്കും പുള്ളിയുടെ കാശ് എടുത്തിട്ട് മുങ്ങിയതാ. ലൈക്ക് when he was gambling at gambling ചെയ്യുന്ന സമയത്ത് he borrowed some money from him and he was just avoiding Turgenev. Dostoevsky was avoiding Turgenev. കടം വാങ്ങിച്ചിട്ട് പുള്ളി പോകുന്നില്ല. അല്ലാതെ വേറെ റൈവലറി ഉണ്ട്.
Viewers take notes.
Yeah, viewers take notes. I only have to say one thing. If you broadly നോക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ Dostoevsky was a psychologist, Tolstoy is a sociologist, and Turgenev is an artist. Turgenevന്റെ വായിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടോ Fathers and Sons? Excellent book. It's the best part of Turgenev. It's very simple, easy to understand writing, and every page is a gem, and it's about the greatest nihilist ever existed in literature, Bazarov. I'm not going to say most of this because the Crime and Punishment, I mean, Dostoevsky എടുക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ പുള്ളിയുടെ റൈറ്റിംഗ് ഭയങ്കര റോയാണ്, ഭയങ്കര ഇൻ യുവർ ഫേസ് പോലെയാണ് എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നത്.
There is no subtlety.
But Turgenev ആണെങ്കിൽ of course he has form as well as ideas, and അത് വരുന്നത് ഭയങ്കര നാച്ചുറലി ആണ്. It doesn't feel very forced. പുള്ളിയുടെ ഐഡിയാസ് ഭയങ്കര ലൈക്ക് ആ ക്യാരക്ടേഴ്സ് പോകുന്ന ഓർഗാനിക് ആയിട്ട് പോകും, ഒന്നും ഫോഴ്സ് ആയിട്ട് തോന്നുന്നില്ല. ഇവൻ ബാസറോവ് തുടങ്ങുന്നത് ആസ് എ നിഹിലിസ്റ്റ് ആണെങ്കിലും അവസാനം ഹി ഫോൾസ് ടു ദ ഗ്രൗണ്ട് ആൻഡ് ഹി അണ്ടർസ്റ്റാൻഡ്സ് വാട്ട് ഹി ഈസ് ഇൻ ദ ആക്ച്വൽ സെൻസ്. സോ ഇഫ് യു വാണ്ട് ടു get started with Russian literature, these three are the trinities, and you can go to the Gogol, and there are lots of them. Alexander Solzhenitsyn, Pushkin, Lermontov. These are the all things. Nabokov.
You want someone more contemporary?
Solzhenitsyn, yeah. He won Nobel Prize, no?
Yeah.
And അതിലൂടെ എനിക്ക് മനസ്സിലായത്.
I've read only one book by Solzhenitsyn, but he comes highly recommended.
I have the Archipelago with me. Yes. So that's the thing. You want to add something to this?
See, this one's for the viewers. A lot of you might be very apprehensive of Dostoevsky. Honestly, don't be. If it's written with words. If it is written with words, it can be read. It's as simple as that. Do not let the fame of this great author intimidate you. So just take your shot at it. And this is my personal recommendation, I would suggest you to get the best translation available. I don't remember the translator's name right now at the moment, but you can Google it, Google the best translation, and specifically search for Dostoevsky's books by these translators. I personally believe that this is going to let you enjoy his writing a lot more. And as we discussed, do not focus on the prose, do not focus on the overall plot or extremely detailed character development. This is a man who has something to say to us, right? So focus on what he's trying to say. I believe that is going to add to your enjoyment. That's it from my side. Any suggestions from you?
And I think you first text to IKEA, and if you want to appreciate more, then also read Russian literature, Russian history and culture. So you will appreciate it more. And that's from you also.
Trigger warning at the same time. For a lot of people, his writing is hit or miss. And for the longest time, I thought I was one of those people who were too dumb to read Dostoevsky, because I really could not understand what this whole thing was about. And I reread Notes from the Underground a little later, and then I understood a little bit better what he was trying to say. The author was trying to convey to us the mental thought process of a very flawed individual, how his thought process works, how it's different from a normal individual, how an extreme neuroticism drives your thoughts into various different directions. And if you look at it from that kind of a perspective, you will be able to enjoy it a lot more. And don't worry, it's not a big deal. If it's not your cup of tea, it's not your cup of tea. That's it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, so that's it from us, and catch you guys next time in KBRC Dialogues. Bye-bye.